What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another War Within video. Hope you're all doing very, very well. The pre-patch is upon us. It is happening today. I'm doing this today as the game is updating. Literally right now. That's Discord. That's not the game. The game is updating right now. I'm not even sure if I can get on, but it's going to be happening right now. And I'm going to talk about all the pre-patch stuff that's happening, and I'm going to give you a timeline comparison between what happened in the War Within, what's happening in the War Within, sorry, and what happened in Dragonflight. We're going to get to my cool little drawing that I drew that's all crooked and stuff. Don't look at it, okay? We'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk about pre-patch first. What's happening right now today? Well, first and foremost, let's pull this in here so it doesn't look a little bit weird. So we're getting multiple things happening right away. So skywriting and warbands and class system updates are all happening right now. There's also going to be a Radiant Echoes pre-expansion event that is not happening today. That's happening in a week. They had it delayed for some reason. So the pre-patch event is going to be delayed by a week, unfortunately, just the way it is. But it's going to be these Radiant Echoes from July 30th to August 26th when the expansion launches. There's going to be these memories of Azeroth that are going to collect residual memories, and you can purchase new items. So again, very, very useful as a catch-up system, or if you just leveled up an alt or a character that you're thinking of playing for the War Within. Maybe you're picking a new main. This is going to be a great way to gear up some of your characters, okay? So there we go. You got the Radiant Echoes. There's your warband. So the warband system is going to be live today, starting today, which means your reputations are all going to be like shared. You're going to have new gear that you start to acquire maybe through this Radiant Echo event is going to be shared with your warband in your warband collection. Okay, so that's all starting right now as well. Very, very cool. People have been waiting for this warband feature for a long time. You're also going to have a new sort of splash screen on character select. It's going to look really, really cool. And you'll have all these characters around a campfire. It's very neat. Take to the skies with skywriting. Like I said, you're going to have skywriting available. It's here to stay. There's lots of different mounts that can skyride. Like almost every single mount that you own that can fly can skyride. It's really cool. I had a shorts video on my channel of like me on my disc doing like a loop-de-loop when you do like the super fast motion. So very, very cool. Okay, you're going to learn that there. Visions of Azeroth. This is also happening. Strange visions are calling the Heroes of Azeroth. Players who have reached level 70 and have completed the final chapter of Dragonflight questline will be called to take their next steps into the story leading into the War Within with a Visions of Azeroth quest. So this is our like bridge quest line. You know, we're moving into the War Within. We're not quite there yet. This is the pre-patch quest line. There's a bunch of character buffs. Okay, guilds are now able to invite characters on different realms. There is cross-realm guild bank functionality in the next update. It's not here right now, but there is essentially the cross-realm guild thing going on. The human racial did get changed. It now makes your Hearthstone cooldown reduced instead of giving you a reputation bonus. I guess they felt like with the warband reputation sharing coming in, it would make people like create human characters and then farm reputation on human characters, and then it would apply to all your other characters as well, which felt like a bit of a cheat. So it's mostly because of the warband system that diplomacy is being removed. It's not a big deal. It is annoying if you wanted to do rep farming, but it was kind of going to be a cheat there, right? Couple other things there. Classes. This is really important here. The amount of talent loadouts that can be saved per character goes up to 40. It was 10. That is huge. So especially if you play characters that have multiple roles, like a healer and a tank and a DPS, you need more than 10 loadouts, realistically speaking. So you can get 40 now per character, which is insane. Talents that increase melee range have been removed. I've talked about this a lot on my stream and in other YouTube videos, but all the melee bros that had increased range, it was like Paladin, Feral Druid, Survival Hunter, and Rogues. I might be missing one, but anyway, they all have their range is gone. So you have to be a true melee now. Now you still have other abilities, like Paladins still have Judgment and Blade of Wrath and, you know, abilities that are ranged, right? So that's okay. But for Feral in particular, this is pretty rough, I think, because Feral is totally, you know, melee, like very much melee. I think Survival Hunter probably should have retained it because Survival Hunter is the mid-ranged melee spec, in my opinion. But anyway, Survival Hunter as well has ranged abilities as well. I guess Blizzard just wants you to feel like if you're a melee, you're actually a melee. Okay? All fear, silence, sleep, stun, interrupt visual effects have been updated with new visuals. Additionally, movement speed slowing effects greater than 50% will now display a universal slow visual on the target. There's also a new visual when you kick something, which I've been noticing, which is really cool. It really gives you that visual feedback that you did successfully kick that ability. Reduce the percentage granted by avoidance and leech by 50%. And then they've also nerfed all leech on the class trees and spec trees. So all leech has just been reduced, okay? And avoidance, sorry. Then there's a whole bunch of actual class changes. I'm not going to get into them all, but you can read them in the patch notes if you want to. There's a million of them. I've covered a lot of them in my videos, okay? Then we've got professions. This is really interesting. So professions, there's a new ability now called concentration. Concentration is a resource that you have to that you have a separate pool of per crafting profession. So if you're a leather worker or a blacksmith, you have a separate pool of concentration for each one of those. Concentration represents your ability to heavily focus on your recipes and exceed exceed your normal capabilities. You choose when you want to use concentration using a button with the crafting window, empowering your next craft. Doing so will cause the craft to automatically reach the next level of quality no matter what. That's really cool. So that's a new thing. And then you have ingenuity, which goes along with concentration, which says you have a chance to have an ingenious breakthrough when you concentrate on a craft, refunding a percentage of the concentration spent. So my understanding of this is that you do crafting on your blacksmith. You create items with your blacksmithing and you build up concentration. And then once you get enough of it, you press this button and you spend it where you want to spend it on a particular craft if you want to make sure that it's guaranteed to reach the next level of quality. Let's say going from 4 stars to 5, right? That's the big one. You can guarantee that it happens, and then you go back to your regular crafting. So I think it's good for people who want to sell items to other players, and you can say to them now, hey, I have concentration available. I'm ready to guarantee that this craft is going to be the next level of quality. Now, unfortunately for people like me who only ever purchase through this exchange, I never craft anything myself, it's probably going to cost more because they could probably charge, the players could charge more if they have a guaranteed concentration and power. I don't know how that's going to work. We'll have to see, but the point is this is good, I would say, for crafters. Very, very cool. And they've removed inspiration. I think inspiration just used to give you like a chance to go up to the next quality. Now you have a guaranteed way of doing it. So whatever, I don't take that with a grain of salt. For me, as somebody who purchases only, it's probably bad, but for people who are crafters, it's probably great. So that's good. It's good for the game. A bunch of user interface stuff. So character select screen obviously now displays your warband. Quest and map navigation is now much, much better. The art has been updated. It looks really cool now. I've shown some of this again on streaming videos. The objective tracker has been updated. The spell book is new. If you've been watching my streams or videos, you've probably seen me open the spell book. It's a brand new looking spell book. It has all of your abilities on basically one page, which is really, really cool. And then there's new options and stuff. So that's everything that's happening in pre-patch. Okay. That's happening today, literally today, except for the Radiant Echoes event. It's happening in a week. Okay. Now, Blizzard, they're also on pre-patch right now. They're taking the class set bonuses that we have right now and they're reverting them to the season 1 tier set bonuses. So this is because several season 4 class sets were made into talents. So they have to just like change it. So all season 4 tier set bonuses that you have right now are going to be turned into the season 1 bonuses that we had in Dragonflight. Okay, makes sense. That's what's happening right there. Again, it's not really going to matter because everything's closed now. You can't get any of all the if you were trying to get, you know, the top 0.1% of Mythic Plus, all that has now closed. It's done. So the tier sets don't really matter as much anymore. Okay. Let's get to the latest post that Blizzard had, which I had up here. I don't know where I went. Let's just find it again. Here it is. Here I found it. I had it up in another video or another browser. So this is the release, the content release schedule. Okay, for the War Within. There's a lot going on here that I do want to dissect, and we're going to talk about it with this little picture that I've kind of drawn here. Okay, this is my amazing skills as a professional paint artist. Okay, so here's what happened in Dragonflight. Okay, the content release schedule, and then the time is down here. I know this is crooked. You can shoot me later, okay? Pre-patch happened on October 25th when Dragonflight was coming out. Launch was November 28th, okay? So that's like a whole month away, by the way. And then between the launch and season 1, there was only 15 days. Okay? That's important to understand. 15 days between the launch and season 1 actually happening, which is about 2 resets. On launch, by the way, normal, heroic, and mythic dungeons were open. Remember, in Dragonflight, it was the old Mythic Plus system where like heroic dungeons basically didn't have anything. Mythic Zeros were only good for like the first week of the expansion. And then you went right into Mythic Plus and you went all the way up to like a Mythic Plus 20. Okay? Dragonflight right now, at the very end of Dragonflight, they changed that whole system, right? Heroic dungeons are more valuable. Mythic Zeros are like Mythic Plus 10s right now in Dragonflight. And then Mythic Plus basically starts from like the old Mythic Plus 10 and goes up to there. So a plus 2 right now in Dragonflight is kind of like a plus 12. And then a plus 5 is like doing a plus 15, plus 16. And then a plus 10 is like doing an old school plus 20. Remember that? That's what happened, okay? Season 1 began on December 13th. All the raid difficulties were open at the same time, and Mythic Plus was open. Okay, so this is what happened in Dragonflight. There was 15 days between the launch of the expansion and Season 1. Okay, in the War Within, slide this over a little bit so you can see it. In the War Within, it's a little bit different. Okay. Pre-patch is going to be July 23rd. Then there's going to be that pre-patch event I was talking about. Remember, it's a week later. It's delayed. Okay. Early access is on the 22nd, and normal dungeons will be available on early access. And then when the launch of the game comes out on the 26th, 4 days later, it used to be the August 23rd. Now it's August 22nd. So there's actually 4 days between early access and the launch of the game now, which I'll talk about early access in a second. The heroic dungeons are going to be available on launch and normal. So normal and heroic will be... Normal dungeons are the same as they've always been. Heroic dungeons are like old school Mythic Zeros from Dragonflight. Okay? At the beginning of Dragonflight. Okay? So heroic dungeons are very valuable. They're a little bit harder and they give you better gear. Okay? Now, normal heroic dungeons will be available. Mythic Zero dungeons will not be available on launch like they were in Dragonflight. Okay? On August 26th. On September 10th, which is 2 resets later, you're going to be stuck essentially doing normal and heroic dungeons at launch and doing delves up to tier 3, I believe, from what I've seen on the launch. Now, tier 4 delves unlock with season 1. So when you're at launch, you've got normal dungeons, heroic dungeons, and up to tier 3 delves, plus like other outdoor world content. Okay. When season 1 begins, 2 weeks later, you're going to have heroic raids, Raid Finder Ring 1. You're going to have Mythic Zero dungeons, but you will not have Mythic Plus. Okay, Season 1 will begin, and you will not be able to do Mythic Plus right away. Understand? Then a week later, the Mythic Raid will come out, and Mythic Plus will open. So Season 1 is going to begin with you only having, again, heroic raids. I would say normal and heroic raids, I think, right? And then you're going to have Raid Finder Ring 1, which is the LFR version, and then you got Mythic Zero dungeons. So the thing is, this sounds like a nerf, right? It sounds bad because you're like, I want to start Mythic Plus right away. I don't want to wait. It's like, okay, but the cadence of how the gear now comes down the pipeline is more spread out in the War Within because of what they did to the changes, right? So at the beginning of Dragonflight, your heroic dungeons were... Your normal and heroic dungeons were like literally useless after the first day. Okay, they just were, because you would replace all your gear immediately and then you would want to move on. Now, normal and heroic dungeons will be awarding gear that's going to be able to scale because we can upgrade it with the upgrade system, and it's going to be very, very valuable, and you're going to have to be stuck there anyway for 2 weeks. So you're going to have you're not going to have any vault, but you are going to have like grade vault, sorry, but you are going to be able to do normal and heroic dungeons and be able to gear up. Heroic dungeons are like Mythic Zeros. So remember the gear that you used to get from Mythic Zeros, it's going to be very valuable, okay? You're going to be able to get lots of upgrades, okay? Now, when Season 1 begins, you're going to have to spend an entire week only doing Mythic Zeros. However, Mythic Zeros now are going to have a daily lockout, not a weekly lockout. So every single day, you could do every Mythic Plus dungeon on each of your characters. And once again, I do think that this system, it's going to spread everything out a little bit longer. It's going to take longer for us to get to Mythic Plus and to get to Raid. But during that long period, when you're only doing normal and then heroic and then Mythic 0 dungeons, you're still getting basically the same level of gear that you were getting before. Okay? Because at the beginning of Dragonflight, Mythic Plus was capped at like a +6 reward level. So now in the War Within, once you get to Mythic 0 dungeons, it's as if you were doing Mythic +10s from the beginning of Dragonflight, and you're going to be able to get even better gear than you got before. So it kind of looks like a nerf. It's not. You're going to be able to get really, really good gear, and it's going to just take a little bit longer. But that means you're going to have more time to spend on alts if you want to, potentially. It's going to be very, very, very alt friendly, which I think is great. The progression is going to feel smoother, I think, because it's going to be like a longer sort of steady climb over time, rather than it being like you start, you do normal dungeons and heroic dungeons and they don't do anything for you, and then it's like boom, Mythic 0 dungeons, and then boom, Mythic Plus. It's going to be like a steadier climb, if that makes sense. Okay, and we're going to have more time. So from the launch to season 1 beginning is going to be 22 days, almost a month. Basically, it probably will be basically a month depending on the resets. I'm not entirely sure about that, but it's basically going to be a month from the launch of the game until you can do Mythic Plus and Mythic Raid. But you're going to be busy doing normal, heroic, and Mythic 0 dungeons and normal and heroic and Raid Finder raids. Like you're going to have stuff to do. And when season 1 begins, you're going to have delves. I forgot to write that in my little graphic, but you're going to have tier 4 delves, and delves are going to be very, very relevant in the early days of the expansion. It'll be relevant for lots of people forever, but like for people who are hardcore, who are going to push into Mythic, delves will become less relevant later on, but like they're going to be very, very relevant at the beginning. Okay. So again, I think gear progression should feel similar to the way it did in Dragonflight, if not better, actually. And you're going to have more time to do it. So you're going to have to wait longer before you get into Mythic Plus, which some people aren't going to like. But that's going to allow you to spend more time doing alts if you want to, maybe leveling your professions, just doing outdoor delve stuff if you want to. Like, you're going to have more time to just bum around. There's going to be less pressure, which is going to be good, I think, for the average player, because the average player, I think, who's like working a 9-to-5 job, who doesn't have time to necessarily get going right away and get their character going, like people who are streamers like me, right? Like I'm going to be out there. I'm probably going to have 3 characters leveled up and geared up before the average player gets 1 character fully geared up and leveled up. But with this system, I'm forced to wait just as long as you're forced to wait. And like, we're all going to have more time to get this done. So I do think it's better. I think it's better for the average player. You are just going to have to wait a little bit longer. That's the issue. That's the only issue, really. Okay. So again, pre-patch is happening today. The pre-patch event is in 1 week. Okay. And then a week after that, we've got early access, which again, I will touch on early access here. You do not need to pay for early access. One thing that this extended period of time gives us is that it means you don't have to worry. There's no pressure. You don't need to buy early access to make sure that you're going to be geared up in time for your raid team to be able to accept you. Like, you're going to have so much time between early access and September 17th. That's the August 22nd. That's almost an entire month you have to gear up your character and get them ready to go. You don't have to worry about it. So getting 4 extra days of early access is not going to make a difference. So I would urge you all, do not pre-order the Epic Edition if you don't need to, okay? If you want early access, like I'm going to pre-order it because I'm a streamer and I just want to put out content and I want to hang out and show you guys all the new stuff. And like, that's just part of my job now, right? But for you guys, if you don't have the money to spend $90 or whatever it is on early access, don't do it. Okay. Just don't. You're not going to get any competitive advantage. You just won't. Okay. Launch will be a week later. And then basically 2 weeks after launch, we have season 1. And then 1 week after that, we have, the actual mythic part of the season is opening up. Okay. Does that make sense? So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure I highlighted all that because it's very important to understand how different sort of the cadence is and to not worry that you're going to be like losing out based, because you can't start as early as somebody else. Now, these are the dungeons that are coming. We already knew this. Arakar, Priory, Rookery, Stone Vault, and then Cinder Meadery, City of Threads, Dark Flame Cleft. Those are the new dungeons. Those are kind of your leveling up dungeons. The dungeons that are going to be available in season 1 will be 4 dungeons plus the plus 4 returning dungeons. So it's going to be like season 1 will be Arakara, the Stone Vault, City of Threads, and the Dawnbreaker. Those are the 4 that are in season 1. And then it's going to be Mist Eterna Scythe, the pirate one. I can't remember what it's called right now. I can't remember the other ones. I'm losing my mind right now. But anyway, there's going to be 4 old dungeons that are returning. A couple of them are from BFA. Grim Batol is back. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. So they're all going to be there, okay? Now, there's going to be world bosses up as well. On the 17th, I'm not sure when these are up, actually. War Within, begin Heroic, Raid Finder 1. Mythic Dungeons become available. I think on the 17th, I would say the world bosses are going to be up. I'm not actually sure. It doesn't really tell us clearly here. Now, again, here's the gear that you can be getting. Remember, heroic dungeons are going to get you better gear, right? 567 item level gear from heroic. Like right now, the average item level in the War Within is like 520, or in Dragonflight, sorry, is like 520 or so, right? I think. So you're gonna be getting good gear. Normal's gonna give you 554 gear. Heroic's gonna give you 567 gear. Okay. Then Mythic 0 is gonna be giving you basically 590 gear, I would say, up to, and then you can upgrade it up to past 600. So you're going to be getting progressively better gear as you go. Then once you get to Mythic Plus, it turns into, 597 and above. So Mythic 0 is a little bit lower. It's probably like 580 to 600 kind of thing. And then Mythic Plus 2 is going to be, again, 597 and up. So just know the progression is going to feel fine, even though it's going to be longer. It's going to give you more time to work on it. You can have more time on your alt. You can spend more time leveling up your professions, maybe. Whatever you want to do, you're going to have more time to do it in the War Within, and I think that's actually a great thing. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. That's the pre-patch stuff. This is the timeline as best as I can sort of describe it to you. Sorry if that was a little bit messy, but yeah. If you want to see this picture, if you would want to see it, I don't know. If you want to, it's going to be on my Discord, which is linked down below. Go check out the Discord. I'm going to post that right now after this video goes up. And that's it. So thank you. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Are you excited about it? I'm very excited. I'm going to be streaming hopefully today. If the servers come back up, I'll do some pre-patch stuff with you guys. We're going to have fun. We'll chat about it. And then we'll get into the expansion as it rolls out. So thank you guys so much for watching. Love y'all. I'll see you in the next one.